Link, the hero! Finally, all of us, the 6 sages, have been awakened. The time for the final showdown with the King of Evil has come. Before that, though, you should meet the one who is waiting for you. The one who is waiting for you at the Temple of Time.
What's up, adventurers? My name is Platinum Phoenix, and welcome back to Ocarina of Time. The last time, we defeated Twin Rova at the Spirit Temple and awakened Naboru, the final sage. And in this episode, we were just told that we need to head back to the Temple of Time in order to meet a mysterious somebody there that is looking for us. But honestly, I don't think we're going to be doing that this episode. This is our final chance to go around the world and get everything done that we want to before taking on our final challenge of Ganondorf's castle. So I think we are actually going to do that instead. And the first location I actually want to head over to is the Gerudo Fortress, because there's actually quite a bit of stuff to do there. Now that we have the silver gauntlets and everything from the Spirit Temple. But when we head into this haunted wasteland, I can pull up the Lens of Truth, and you can see that we don't have a ghostly guide here to help us through the haunted wastelands like we did last time. And that makes it actually really hard to make it through here, mostly due to the fact that I don't have this place memorized, and I have a feeling most people don't. Meaning that even running straight forward will send you right back here, meaning that we have no way of really getting through the haunted wasteland on foot from the Spirit Temple side. So that means our only real option of leaving the Spirit Temple is to teleport our way out of here. And I think I actually want to use the Nocturne of Shadow in order to go back to Kakariko Village to do a few things. Or more specifically, there's one thing I want to do in Kakariko Village, and that's actually go over to this house, which is the old lady's potion shop. And the reason I want to go here is because once you give the odd medicine, which the old lady gives you, to Fado, which is a Kokiri in the Lost Woods during the Bigoron Sword Quest, you can come back to this potion shop, and the old potion lady will sell you the ultimate potion for 100 rupees. And I'm going to go ahead and buy one. You got a blue potion. Drink it with 1, X, Y, or 2 to recover your life energy and magic power. And you can buy as many of these as you want. You basically just have to have empty bottles and 100 rupees to buy each of them. But these potions are actually really good. Like the description said, they are basically the combination of red and green potions, where it gets the red ability of healing all of your hearts that you have lost, but it also has the green potion ability of fully recovering your magic. And I highly recommend buying at least one of these for the upcoming challenges and the final dungeon, because having that extra, oh, I need more magic button is really nice to have. But with that being said, we are actually going to be heading off to the last location I want to go to in this episode, which is the first location I said, which is over in the Gerudo Fortress. All right, now that we have finally made our way over to the Gerudo Fortress, you just want to make sure that you have Epona here, because a couple of episodes ago, one of the carpenters that we rescued mentioned something about a horse archery track that is behind the Gerudo Fortress. And they said that if you had a horse, that you should go and see what it was all about. That is actually what we are going to do first here. As you can see, once we get up here, there are a bunch of targets and everything up here. And I actually just want to hop off of Epona real quick to read the sign. Horseback archery range. Skilled players are welcome. Current record 0 points. And if we hop back on Epona, we can walk forward and actually talk to this Gerudo here. Hey, newcomer, you have a fine horse. I don't know where you stole it from, but okay, how about this horseback archery challenge? Once the horse starts galloping, shoot the target with your arrows. Let's see how many points you can score with 20. You get 20 arrows. If you can score 1,000 points, I will give you something good. Do you want to try it for 20 rupees? All right, so I've talked about how difficult horseback archery is before, but there's a few things going for us here. First off, Epona runs by herself, so we don't actually have to worry about controlling her. She's on a track. So you just have to worry about actually hitting the targets and getting 1,000 points. And also, we got pretty good practice with horseback archery from doing the Big Poe side quest. So this should be no problem actually getting over 1,000 points. And we already have 1,000 points actually now that I look at it. You can shoot all the targets. I recommend shooting the bases on the first pass through and then focusing on the big targets on the second pass through, because you can rapid fire into the big targets, but for the bases, you have to kind of precision shoot them. But since we got 1,000 points, fantastic! You are a true master. I will give this to you. Keep improving yourself. And for getting 1,000 points on the horseback archery contest, we finally get our last piece of heart, bringing us up to our maximum total of 20 hearts. It is so nice to see all 20 hearts there. But now that we have the reward for 1,000 points, we can actually talk to the Gerudo again. Hey, rookie, you're looking good. Show me your skills again. You can always try to better your score. My personal best is 1,500 points. Do you want to try for 20 rupees? So our new test is to get 1,500 points, and this is actually kind of difficult to do. So I might be quiet a little bit because I'm going to try to focus, but I did get all the bases, which is very nice. And you want to get at least 60 points on each of the times you shoot the rings, because 30 points is simply not enough to help you. And I'm going to wait till we get a little bit closer to these to try to give myself as much of an option to actually hit them. And we already have the 1,500 points we need. 1620 is nice. I'll be darned, you are an ultimate master. I will give you an item suitable for the master. This quiver is very important to me. I want you to have it. Take good care of it, okay? And for beating her score of 1,500 points, we get the biggest quiver. We can now carry a maximum of 50 arrows. Getting this is super nice because it allows us to do more with the bow, allowing us to shoot more and to have more options for like fire arrows and everything, since those still use arrows along with magic. And also, if you haven't done the Big Poe side quest yet, I recommend getting the biggest quiver before doing it if you've already been here. Just because it allows you to shoot more often, and it means you don't have to reload and resupply on arrows as often. But our next location here in the Gerudo Fortress is actually here. This is the Gerudo training ground. Gerudo token verified. 1 try for 10 rupees. I'm going to say don't try because I want to show if you don't have rupees, you can jump down here, and if you have the bow and have extra arrows, you can actually shoot these signs, and I believe on one of the 2 sides of the sign, it will shoot out. For some reason that one's not doing it. Does the one up here by the horse archery do it? That's super strange. Usually they're supposed to spit out red rupees whenever you shoot them, and I don't actually know why it's not doing it. But I was going to say, if you don't have the rupees, just go over there and shoot the signs for red rupees. But I guess a better tip, because they don't want to give out the red rupees, is to just go up to the top platform up there, and inside that crate is always going to be a purple rupee to give you 50 rupees, which is more than enough for the 2 times you have to pay 20, and this time that you have to pay 10. So, token verified? Yes, let us in. Oh, welcome to the Gerudo Training Ground, aka the last mini dungeon of the game. And this one's actually pretty unique, being more of a gauntlet style dungeon rather than puzzle based. If you can overcome the trials in the chambers ahead, then and only then will you be qualified to hold our secret treasure. And the first thing I actually want to do is go into this room. If you desire to acquire our hidden treasure, you must strive to obtain the keys hidden in each chamber. Basically, what that is saying is we need to gather enough keys by going through each of the different chambers in order to open all of the doors to get to that big treasure chest that was in the middle. Specifically, we need to get 7 keys in order to get to that treasure chest. And each of these rooms are different in their layouts, each of them being a sort of trial you have to overcome in order to get to the next room and to get small keys going through. But there are ways to actually make this mini dungeon easier. Specifically, one of the easiest ways is actually just by using Neighbor's Love, because Neighbor's Love allows you to negate damage, meaning that all of the fight rooms that we have to go through, which I think there's like 3 or 4 throughout this dungeon, they can no longer hurt you, meaning you can be a lot more aggressive and can just kind of walk around and attack to your heart's content to take out the enemies. But another thing it allows you to do is actually it makes it so the enemies can't stagger or knock you back either. Meaning that they can't actually stall you in order to waste your time, and it makes it so you can take them out faster than you would normally be able to. But even in the rooms that aren't fight rooms, kind of like this room where we just have to go around and collect the silver rupees, it is still nice to use Neighbor's Love because there are obstacles in some of these rooms. Whether it be the fire there or the boulder that you saw roll, it just means that by using Neighbor's Love, we can just straight up ignore some of them, and we don't take damage even when we are hit by them. You will still get knocked back, so you want to be careful with some of the places like here where this is a ledge. But you can't actually be damaged, so you don't have to worry about losing all of your health or anything, which is very nice. But the other thing that is good to know for these rooms is actually that you don't need to get every small key in the entire dungeon. There are 9 small keys throughout the dungeon, and we only need 7, like I said before, meaning we can actually skip a couple of the rooms throughout the mini dungeon, which makes it a lot faster to actually get through this place than it normally would be. And I actually want to switch Neighbor's Love out for the Lens of Truth because it will be helpful here. But the next thing I want to go over, because those are really the only 2 hints I have for the Gerudo training grounds, is I actually want to talk about the Gerudo themselves because we've been around them a lot, but I haven't really had a chance to talk about them in detail. And there's actually quite a bit about them that is really interesting that I want to talk about. So to start off, we know quite a bit about them already, like the fact that they are a completely female race, with the one exception being Ganondorf, and that a male Gerudo is born to the Gerudos every 100 years, and that male Gerudo gets a lot of benefits, basically just for being the male Gerudo, because the Gerudo culture and society basically warps to go around the male Gerudo whenever they are born, mostly due to the fact that by the Gerudo law, the male Gerudo has to become king once they are born every 100 years. And when that male becomes the king, they get a lot of benefits, like the fact that they basically just gain an army of extremely skilled warriors with basically nothing, with basically doing no work. Also, that army of extremely skilled warriors is fiercely loyal to the male Gerudo, with basically none of them seeing fault in them with a few obvious outliers that we have already seen. But they have gone so far as to call him exalted, which you could probably see how that would be them basically seeing no wrong within the male Gerudo. And I want to get this out of the way while I'm talking about it. I don't really see the fact that the female Gerudo, not elect, but by law give the male Gerudo the kingdom, as a fault, because of the single reason that it actually forwards Ganondorf's character. I don't really want to dive too deep into why, because it's kind of a spoiler for most of the other games in the series. But just know that Ganondorf does reincarnate, and he always reincarnates as a Gerudo. So him getting special privileges, as I will say, from the Gerudo is not all that surprising. In fact, it could just be the fact that Ganondorf, since he is reincarnated as a Gerudo every time he reincarnates, has made it so the Gerudo culture is more favorable to him and allows him to gain power within the Gerudo. I was going to call them a faction, the Gerudo race, easier than it would normally be for any other race, for him to gain power in. And it's not far off to really believe that, because Ganondorf is literally called the King of Evil. It is certainly something he would do to literally warp an entire race around focusing on him. But that idea of Ganondorf warping the Gerudo tribe, or the Gerudo race, can answer a lot of questions that you might have about the Gerudo. Like, why are the Gerudo a race of thieves? And there's actually probably a couple of different reasons, but one of the main ones is they live in a desert, so they most likely became thieves in order to survive. But another reason that they may have became thieves, or not became thieves, but became more ruthless thieves, is because of Ganondorf's influence over them, basically making them more hardened and more likely to steal from people they may have not stolen from before Ganondorf's influence. Like Naborhu said, she doesn't like Ganondorf because of the fact that he steals from women and children and he kills people. And because the other Gerudo don't find any fault in him, it's very likely that they also follow suit in the practices of stealing from women and children and also killing people. But another thing that could also be influenced from Ganondorf is the fact that the Gerudo don't like men. But again, like the whole thief thing, it's probably more nuanced than just Ganondorf made them not like men. Mostly due to the fact that the Gerudo are actually inspired by the Greek mythology of the Amazonian, or the Amazons. Basically, the Amazons in Greek mythology were a race of warrior females, or a race of all-female warriors, who had a disdain for men, and they viewed them as lesser beings, basically. And it's very likely that the Gerudo took a lot of inspiration from their Amazonian, I was going to say inspiration again, but their Amazonian, I guess, lineage, almost. But another reason they may hate men is because Ganondorf, being the only male Gerudo and having power because he is the only male Gerudo, may have made them dislike men and kept men out of their territories as a way of him being suspicious or hostile towards them, as seeing them as the enemy of his rule of power and everything. And again, him being the king of evil, is very likely that he influenced the Gerudo to force them to dislike men and to keep men out, or to capture men whenever they get too close. But with that being said, we are all the way through all of the rooms of the mini dungeon, the Gerudo training ground, but you may have noticed I only have 6 keys. And I've said several times already, we need 7 keys. And the reason for that is if we go to the left here into this room and pull up the lens of truth and go into first person, we can look up and there is a hidden space up here in this room that you wouldn't be able to see if you didn't use the lens of truth. And up here is actually another small key, bringing us up to the 7 that we actually need to get through here. I'm only going to get 7 because the other 2 rooms are unnecessary. But if you want to get all of the treasure chests that are in here that have good stuff like rupees and arrows and stuff, the other 2 keys are the big stone block in the Wolfos room. Once you hit the switch, it opens up the door behind the stone block, and you can push it back, and there's lights in that room that you can defeat, and then you can open up treasure chests in that room, with one of them having a small key. And then the other one is another silver rupee collecting room. You have to go into the room you open from collecting the silver rupees in the lava room, and it is a water room where you have to use the iron boots to go up and down collecting all the silver rupees, and that is how you get the 9th small key. But with these 7 small keys that we have, we are able to make our way all the way into this center room to open up this big treasure chest. Which has the ice arrow. Any target it strikes will freeze. This magic arrow is granted only to those who complete the difficult training of the Gerudo, so use it with pride. Select your bow and then select it again to open the arrow submenu. Choose the desired type to equip your bow with power-up arrows. So, ice arrows are interesting because unlike fire arrows, ice arrows are completely combat-oriented. There's no, puzzles within the game that requires you to freeze stuff. So, the ice arrows are completely power-based, which is actually really nice because unlike the fire arrows, the ice arrows actually do 4 damage per hit. To compare that to the other arrows, fire arrows do 2 damage and normal arrows do 1. So it's basically like shooting the Bigoron sword at enemies or having a long-range Bigoron sword attack. And the other thing about ice arrows is on contact with an enemy, it will also freeze the enemy solid, like the description said, allowing you to very easily do either follow-up attacks or maneuver, meaning that it is a really good arrow to shoot when you're at long range to allow you to get closer in order to fight with the Bigoron sword or the Master Sword, and it's very nice to have it when going into this next dungeon that we are going to. But with that being said, that is everything we have to do before heading to the Temple of Time, and I think we're going to wait till next time. So, I hope that everyone enjoyed watching. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Next time, we head to the Temple of Time to see who's waiting for us. But until then, happy adventuring!